Wepwawet Saw greetings and peace. Estange Ila Antut, salutations to all, or Estange Ila Antutin, salutations to all. I'm glad you all was able to get on class tonight. And what I'm going to do, before I start on the psychic self-defense, I'm just going to answer questions that have been inboxed to me somewhat months ago. I didn't even know until I went into my inbox, but I'm going to actually answer them. But the question was asked again. Some questions were asked twice. So I'm going to go through them. Let's see. So, but yeah, I'm going through them now. Very much needed information. One question. Let's see. Looking through everything. Still looking through the inbox. Let's see. Yes, Brother Adrian Garza had a question. Question from Adrian Garza. This is from April. I didn't even know it was there until today, actually. Is balance, is it one truth of the universe? If so, then why, when I look up at the night sky, I see more darkness than light? That's a great question. Because what that's telling me also is usually people are coming from a perspective that darkness is the absence of knowledge. And darkness is ignorance. Darkness is bad. But what you're seeing is an effect of an awakening that darkness is actually what's called supreme balancement. When you're looking for light, you're looking for something that you've been indoctrinated to see as being the absolute. And we see light as the truth because we're coming from a perspective that says, whether it be Christianity, Islam, or Judaism, and even in society, because religion has infiltrated society and gives society a perspective of what knowledge is and what truth is. So especially when we say the word light, because light is synonymous with white, light is synonymous with everything else. Light is synonymous with light. Light also has been made to be synonymous with knowledge. You understand? But the reality is that light is the blinder. You understand? What we turn to do is, if I say light is the blinder, then the next question is, well, what about the sun? The reality is that the sun, or the sun that we orbit around, is just a ball of energy. It's a dark matter mass. If the sun has specific elements within it, and is specific elements that creates a combination of a gaseous form that gives off energy to the galaxy that we exist in. That's the reality. But the sun itself is still a minute particle within the solar system, what is being perceived as light. When you say darkness, when you say dark is a state, ness is a degree of that state. You understand? Repeat myself one more time. Dark is a state. Dark, when you say ness, you're giving a variation of a specific state. And so you have to understand that everything is, because all is. Papa is. When you say all is, or the all is, you're saying everything in existence is. Darkness is as well. Because regardless of where you are, when you look up at the sky, as a brother pointed out, you're going to see darkness. If I'm on this side of the world, and it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun is shining. It's appeared to be for us, but for some reason we give a perception in our minds that on the other side of the world, that where it's night, it's not shining anymore. But no, the sun never stops shining. We're just on the other side of the sun because it's based around the rotation of the planet Earth. The sun doesn't go anywhere. It's still doing its job in a centered unit that is giving off energy to specific spaces in the galaxy that we're in, regardless of what planet it is. You understand? This is our mindset. And just to go even further with the question is that the further you go along in this galaxy, we're the third planet away from the sun. Let's say we just go into this is just dealing with non-reasoning. Regardless of what planet we go to, we can go to Mars, we can go to, regardless of where we are, we can go to Jupiter, we can go to Saturn. You understand? Darkness is still there. But it's based around at the end of the day, you are still a particle within darkness. When you cut off the light in your room, right now I'm sitting in darkness as I'm speaking to you. If someone comes into the room and cuts on the light, I'm still in darkness. But all that happened was someone basically turned on a current that is being perceived as light that flickers at specific speeds, but is really a fluorescent energy that gives me a certain amount of what we would perceive as being something because it's being perceived by our eyes. But if you were blind, you would only feel energy from the sun. You would feel substance from the sun. You understand? That's it. The light bulb to a blind person means nothing at all. The only thing that means something to the blind person is frequency and vibration. And even in darkness, frequency and vibration exist. Because let's say the womb of the mother, there's no light bulb in the womb of the sacred feminine. There's no light bulb inside your head when you think a thought. Inside your brain, when you pick from the mental reservoir, there's no thought that has a light bulb. There's no need for that. So what has been created by white supremacy, by the Caucasus or the Caucasian or the Neanderthal, is a perception that white is right and white is knowledge. But yet still, when you say knowledge is a term that is supposed to be for us, or just specifically to give it a worldly, mindset, or give it a worldly definition of knowledge for anyone that, that learns something and reads a book, or I gain knowledge from reading this book, or I gain knowledge from this excavation into Africa or into China or into lower parts of Mexico. I excavated. So I gain knowledge, okay? But if we go back into Tanun, before there was any need to have knowledge, we knew everything. So knowledge wasn't even needed. We need knowledge now to remember what we were then. That's all knowledge is for. But knowledge itself is chaos. Because I have to differentiate between whether this is the truth or the lie. That's chaos. I have to, in order to have a objective perspective, I have to be objective on something. So I can't allow it to mesh in with me. I can't have a non-reasoning, non-mind, and to be able in order to be able to see it from a third eye perspective, or as the sacred feminine, as our God or our goddess does, a intuitive perspective or an intuition perspective. So I have to have knowledge, which is, as someone made a joke, is on white paper with black ink. So at the end of the day, you're still getting light into you. Because the God, when it says in the New Testament, when it says, I'm the light of the world. Jesus, I am the light. I am the light of the world. Light. I'm the light. That means it also means my knowledge is shined for everyone to see and for everyone to gain sustenance from, as they said in the Bible for Jesus Christ, or Yahshua HaMashiach. You understand? So these are tricks that they play on our eyes to make us see light as right and white as right, when darkness always is, always was, and always will be. When you're in the womb of the sacred feminine or the goddess, the mother, again, that's triple darkness. There's no light bulb. There's no need to differentiate. Things are working on a level that is far beyond the Caucasian's comprehension. He is studying what we were able to do then. He's studying what as we would like to call birth is. You know, he doesn't realize and use, because he has no nine mind or nine reasoning, that's a whole year of inception or conception that happens. Conception. You follow? Where after involuting through the Stargate, through the mother, we had to be conceived through her. So that's still darkness. So hopefully Adrian Garza is paying attention. But yes, truth, and to go into truth, because it was a one-part question, but to go even further, the two-part is truth, order. What goes along with truth is order, is justice, and is rightness, is ma'at. And in ma'at, truth is something that is constant regardless, whether you like it or not, whether it agrees or disagrees with you or not, or based on your emotion. Truth always is, always was, always will be. Because we have accepted the truth from a Caucasian perspective, so in reality we learn that those are lies. So we have to get back into our nine mind to realize that, going back to this prime example, let's go back to the dynastic period. The dynastic period let us know, because they saw that anybody who was not dark matter beings, as what they call Apapis or Apep, which was known as the evil ones. You understand? If you were not dark-skinned, according to historical fact, you was the devil. Mulattoes at some point was the devil, because the first ones to come into ancient Kemet that Namir or Menes fought off was Assyrians. Assyrians was mulatto. Before they even dealt with the Nordic-looking or the Flugerot-looking, they dealt with the mulatto first. So no, light is a particle within darkness, because the truth is supreme balancement is darkness. So hopefully that answered Adrian Garza's question. So I'm going to the next one. This is from Ma'at Nefertari Ray. And I'm just going to read out. This is from what she inboxed. As far as dreams, sometimes I have beings or forces in my dreams that are negative, and I don't really know how to defend myself in that aspect, because I always submit to my fear of them. Like, for example, once I was dreaming, I was floating on water in a bad storm, and in the sky there was a figure. Subconsciously, I knew what it was because I kept saying it. And every time I said what it was, lightning struck and something said, it's just lightning. It took for the third time I said, no, it's what I said it was. The lightning struck again, but literally shook me, and instantly I was like, nope, that's just lightning. After I submitted, the storm went away, and the presence of the being went away, and I woke up. How do I protect myself against these forces that are able to come into my dreams? Okay. And the first thing I always say is something that my father said years ago, that just to preface that I don't interpret dreams. So this is related to the psychic self-defense. So what she's going through is something I can't interpret. But what we have to do is, in our dreams, which is basically the time that we are most susceptible, we have to get to a point where we are in control of what's going on. We have to first acknowledge, because she was acknowledging what was going on. And we have to be able to be, when we say we're a spiritual warrior, certain practices have to take place. I'm talking about ritual practice. There's sweat lodges for American Indians, and then we have our orders of ancient Kemet, AEO, Ancient Egyptian Order. And within these orders, this is not to advertise, but this is reality, is that you're learning how to control what's going on in just a dream state. Because let's just take that into what's known as sleep paralysis. You understand? Sleep paralysis is a state where you're up, but those that were connected to you, were and are connected to you in terms of your blood relatives, your ancestors, they try to use you for certain things. So the statement that she's making, somewhere in there, when you say protect yourself, there's a fear there. You know, there's a fear. The only reason why you can't control something is a fear. Fear is the absence of control because you don't know what's going to happen, so you fear the situation. So what we have to do is that we have to take on certain practices. We have to be able to, once we are in, and this is just what you learn in sacred orders, because on a physical level, psychic self-defense is something that you put around you. You put around you something that you can concentrate on. This is what I'm going to give you, and I have another question. This is going to be all connected to the same. But when you are by yourself, you have to concentrate on what's known as we said back in ancient mystical order Melchizedek and AEO, we concentrated on the green light. And vitality is something that is connected to what's known as the plane of force. Okay? And you are the physical, so it's stimulating you. But the next level of the green light is protection. What is growth? What is going on around you constantly? So around you and what you are focusing on is the information of Tahuti. Because Tahuti was the green one, the ibis bird. He was the green one. And so what you're doing in psychic self-defense is you are creating a force field around self that is connected to an energy sensor that is known as the plane of force. You understand? That means that you are in control over things that are around you. That is a protection. See, and the next level is realizing that, just prime example of, even before we go into the dream, when you go outside and you see what's going on around you, you don't think of anything, but you hear the wind going on, and you see the sun, and you see vegetation going on, and you see all these different things. You see fruit, you see all these things. These are things that are responsible for protecting you. Meaning that, for example, vegetation and the weather is needed to protect you. I'm just talking about on the physical level. You understand? But when you're dealing with protection on another level, you have to go back into learning psychic self-defense within the subconscious mind, because what you are confronting are things that have already been implanted. Most of the dreams that we have now, 90% of them are implantations. You understand? So what is needed now is, I'm talking about on the spiritual realm, because she's dealing with dreams. So you have spiritual masters that are responsible for helping you protect yourself in a state where you are extremely vulnerable. And that is when you are in the dream state, where the subconscious completely takes over. You understand? Where sometimes you'll win and sometimes you'll lose. So the thing that we need now is toolage. That's the reason why my father, Dr. Malachi York, also known as Panabab Yanun, is necessary, because he is a hierophant in the ancient Egyptian order. You understand? A brother asked me Saturday class about drinking beer, and is that bad? I said, well, you have to go back to the sweat lodges where they smoke what's called peyote. And the peyote is necessary because everybody has already been implanted with some type of fear in their subconscious mind. So the peyote is necessary to put you in a trance so that you can confront the situation head on. And whatever's been implanted in you, from Nightmare on Elm Street to Bambi to all types of action adventures and horror movies. These are all these things that frighten you. At some point, you have to confront it subconsciously. So, what you do in these, the thing is, in these dream states, the Hierophant is responsible for helping you concentrate on the green light that is needed for protection around you during the time that you confront the subconscious. So that's what's necessary first. Then you're going to continue to have these dreams regardless. They're going to continue to happen. But the psychic self-defense comes into play when you are at least now on your own focusing. And you are focusing on the green light, because there was an exercise in Om that we did on our own that allowed you to focus on the green light completely. And you didn't have any interruptions. You didn't have no one telling you what to do. That was the time where you took the schematic of what was given to you in Om and you applied it to your life. And when you went into the dream state, it stayed with you. You understand? So you have to get to a point where that's why books like Nine Principles and another one, Science of Healing, is necessary, because it allows you to learn of the abilities that you have on the next level, on the other side. That psychic self-defense is something that you create around you that becomes a shield for certain situations. You understand? So that is a tool. I'm just giving you a tool. This is from Ma'at Nefertari Ray, that you create around you. It's a focus. The green light is known for protection, and is also known for as well as called vitality. What is it? What is vitality? Vitality is what? Is known to create what? Vitality is to create a protection around you, growth, the extension of something, the natural occurrence in nature of nature. That's what vitality is. Why I said it is vital for you to do this. It is essential to your life, because if you are not learning what it means to concentrate on what is known as vitality, because other sacred orders have different things, but I'm giving you what I've learned in the sacred order to concentrate on. That means that when you concentrate on it now in the physical, you're creating a shield around you. And this is the question that she asks is also related to the class anyway. So that is important. It's at least getting to a point where you're able to create something around you that you focus on constantly. Because what we do is we don't know how to harness our energy. The next level is to harness our energy. And we have to first off recognize the people in us, people that are around us, and now they become a part of us, that is not allowing the psychic self-defense to take place. So hopefully that answered the sister's question. We'll go on to the next question. This is from Jaquise Manning, and the question, Hatep Rahubat Tamal. My question on psychic self-defense stems from me strengthening my own. How is one's PSD related to their aura? Is PSD similar to being emotionally balanced? I've often felt sudden emotions hit me that I knew was not mine. To best describe it, it'll be in the process of doing something and I'll feel a wave of some emotion, usually sadness or anger, that I know is coming from outside myself. Do you have any insight on this? Feel free to address these how you may during tonight's class, Tawahad. What I'm going to do is just look up the term PSD so that everyone that's listening can get an understanding of what it is and get the definition. Just look up PSD. Okay. See, I thought he was talking about something else, but PSD is acronym for psychic self-defense. I know keep out self, everybody. But I thought it was something totally different. But wow, okay. Now I can see what he's saying. No, because anyone can be, because the question is PSD, psychic self-defense, similar to being emotionally balanced? And no, anybody can be emotionally balanced. But if you don't have psychic self-defense, which is the next level, it doesn't mean anything. Because the next part of the next question was, he feels emotions coming from other situations. And the only way that can happen is if foreign people who are energy drainers, because part of being an energy drainer is that you are exchanging energy at the same time. So someone in this brother's life is draining energy, and in the process is also giving negative. So he's carrying a leftover from someone in his life. You understand? And what needs to happen is what's going to happen is within his intuition, that individual that's giving him that has exchanged that information, has exchanged that energy, when they come around, he'll know. And he has to learn how to act accordingly with that individual. You have to, when people like that are the energy vampires, you have to give them the least amount of your energy as possible until you give them none of it. That is the only way for you to basically become completely engulfed in psychic self-defense. Because the whole point of it is breaking down the word. Psychic meaning soul, self meaning the inner you, and defense meaning a mechanism to what? Protect you. The thing is that we're not really well protected from the vampires around us. They can be any color, it doesn't make a difference. The reality is that we allow people in our space to take from us and leave baggage. That's our problem. People come in, they leave baggage with us, and we think that it's okay until we become what they are. It's crazy because, going further and further into his question, and I'm going to read it a little more again, to best describe it, it will be in the process of doing something, and I'll feel a wave of some emotion, usually sadness or anger, that I know is coming from outside myself. So someone within this brother's family is dumping something on him. They're taking from him and they're dumping. No one just takes, they take and dump. So what he has to do is because part of psychic self-defense is also the process of elimination. It's the process of elimination. You have to eliminate someone or the entity in your life that is taking and adding, but they're adding something to you that is at the same time taking from you. You understand? So all that is necessary. So if we are able to do, once I'm saying we it's to use him as an example, because a lot of us go through the same thing. In this society, we have what's called stressors. And stressors can be a person, it could be a job, it could be an event, it could be anything that controls your emotion. Because you can't be God if something outside of self is controlling your emotion. So if something is changing and altering his emotional state, it's someone outside of him. And he has to be in control. Brother got to be in control and release. Now, if he can't release, it could be a job. It could be someone that has a job and he has to make his money. But even in that instance, try to have the least amount of presence around that person as possible. That is the reality. So all these questions, I'm glad they went into the class, and so now I actually go into the actual class. What people have to understand is that psychic self-defense is something that you create even before you even are going into the subconscious. We talk about dreams and everything. That's something that stays with you at all times. So it comes down to the first step, as the sister was asking about her dream state, is that you have to protect the subconscious. And once we learn that, again, most of the things that we think, we feel, and we react to are reactors that have been implanted already in this society. So once that has been overstood, then you learn to take on the mask of God. The mask of God is the deeper level of psychic self-defense, because you can't really call yourself God if someone else is in control of you. If someone else is in control of the things that you do and your emotions, that person is your most high. Technically, they're your most high. And what you have to do is that you have to create the force that is around you, even when you learn, at least in terms of meditation. Because meditation is needed for you to at least journey. Because while you're in that state that you found comfort, it's time for you to at least travel within your subconscious. We don't go into that level because it's all about fear. A person can say, I'm not afraid, so why haven't you into your subconscious yet? Why haven't you confronted what is fear, what is not allowing you to control your own dream state? That's the next level of being God, is that you can control something that 90% of the time people will say you have no control over. A teacher manipulates the subconscious when he or she answers questions. That's the manipulation of the subconscious mind. So the unpenetrated or unpenetrable force that you put around you is something that is created once you learn how to concentrate. The power of concentration is necessary after you learn to control your emotions here, because the emotional you is even separate from the soul. The soul is a body, and the emotional you is a body. That's two different levels of you, two different body forms. You understand? And so what you have to do is you have to control the emotional part of you, because the emotional part dictates how much control you have in the dream state. Because again, fear is connected to sadness. Fear is connected to apprehensiveness. Fear is connected to anger, all these things. And so when we're in the dream state, we've never created, at least based on meditation. In meditation, you're focusing. You're supposed to focus. The exercises that are within whatever ancient Kemetic order that you're part of, whether it be AEO, even if not in that and you never got an AEO, but you got an ancient order Melchizedek, you're supposed to focus on what is known for vitality and growth, which is the green light, whether in Om it was known as Melchizedek or in AEO or AEU, it was Tehuti or Zahuti. It was a protection. The green is a protection. You understand? The growth, it is needed to engulf you. You concentrate on such. Even now that you have the tool of meditation. Ops is not here. So he can only give you so much in books and updates. But he's not here for you. So you have to do the work now to sit down and clear your mind. Clearing your mind is a manipulation of the subconscious mind, because most people can't even clear their mind to think a thought that's of their own mind. Again, we have to be able to get to that point. If we can get to that point, you can manipulate anything you want to in your dreams. You understand? And then part of it also is when we're dealing with people. Again, the first level of psychic self-defense is dealing with the people that are around you. Whoever is around you will also alter your protection, and it'll also alter your means of actually being able to manipulate what is around you. So that is the first step to it. And what is learned when you study psychic self-defense, they will tell you to focus on the white light. the light of ignorance. You understand? And that is definitely not the case, because we know the light of ignorance is wrong. You understand? And so what we have to also realize is that you have what's known as the throat chakra. You follow? And the throat chakra, even before you get to 8, which is the molar, where you deal with the yin and yang, you follow? That's what differentiation is at the point, the root. It was at the point of the crown. That's 8. That's not even at 9 yet. That's 8. That's coming out. That's still in the body where the molar is. But we're dealing with the throat chakra here, which is known for power and willpower. So when you deal with psychic self-defense, that's the next level. That's just a step. So what you can do is you look up what is needed what does the throat chakra do? And you go online and you look that up, or have a book about this. And that is focused on right here, the throat chakra. And I'm touching my own with it, the Adam's apple. And what does that do? That creates a tone. Because the throat chakra is responsible for the tone in which you resonate on. And that creates the willpower within self. Because I give you a chant, and this chant is connected to the throat chakra. We deal with Om Kalum, Om Atum, Om Atum, Om. Om Kalum, Om Atum, Om Atum, Om. You understand? Om Kalum, Om Atum, Om Atum, Om. And you feel something resonating within the throat chakra. And that is supposed to allow you to drop down. You are able, and you are creating, and you are putting on the mask of God, and it's also part of psychic self-defense, that you are able to drop down and be able to purr at this point. And that is a way of controlling, that when you are in an adverse situation, that you know what to do at that particular moment. And the thing is that in the dream state, we have to be able to go through certain rituals so that when you are put down into what we call sleep paralysis, the tools are already there for you. So you're not just being pushed around and being manipulated in your dream. You're able to be in your dream and control that dream. And you're able to pinpoint exactly what things are. And your emotions will be something that is not controlling you, but you are controlling your emotions. Because that is the biggest thing that we have a problem with, is the control of our emotions. We are not in control of our emotions. My father never said to not have emotions and to not be emotional. Being emotional at some point is good, because it shows that you are connected to the root chakra. The root chakra is important, because that's the most human part of who you are. But then it still is a resonation for what we call the carnal desires. But all these things are needed for you to be a complete God. So all that is very necessary. But that is a step. I'm just giving you steps on how to create it around yourself. So what we have to do now, the next level, is just your position to create psychic self-defense, because this is all about meditation now. Meditation and chanting is a first step to creating psychic self-defense for yourself. Some people say they already got it. Okay, good. But part of concentration, we're going back into concentration, is being comfortable. Most of us are not comfortable. It takes a certain amount of intelligence, first off, to sit still longer than 5 minutes. Think about that for a second. Most of the things that we do is making us get up all the time. Get up, stand up, move around, do this, do that. So you're constantly in motion. You're never in a concentrative state. So when someone says concentrate, you look at them like they're crazy. What do you mean concentrate? Yes, I said concentrate. You must concentrate. You must be able, concentrating is creating. You're creating something for yourself. When people say humans can't create, yes, you can. Because when you are concentrating on something, you are creating a form of balancement for yourself. Concentration is focusing on one thing at that one time. That one thing. That's why my father said multitasking is an illusion, because during multitasking, you are actually crippling both situations at one time. Even if it's just two things, one is going to suffer while the other may be suffering as well. But you're not putting too much of your energy in one thing, which is the only way for you to really accomplish that goal. And that's concentration. The devil has us so much off of our square that we never really focus on one thing at one time. That's God, because you are mastering what's known as concentration. Chanting is concentration. Meditation is concentration. Prayer is really not concentration at all, because I can give you words to say. I can tell you in a book, say these words, say that word, pray to that God, pray to Jesus, pray to Moses, pray to Muhammad, Zeus, and all that stuff. But you're not concentrating on anything. I told you what to do. So I controlled you and I controlled what you said. But when I gave you the chant that I said previously, I gave you something that resonates within the throat chakra, that resonates within self and creates a force field around you. You understand? So when you, at least at this point, and I'm still dealing with my asked question, but at the same time, still dealing with reality for everybody who's listening, is that when you create that force field around you that's from chanting, that's going to carry over into the dream state. You have to at least meditate at least for 30 minutes out of the day in order for your psychic self-defense to at least be created. That's the first step. It must be created first. We talk about it all the time because it sounds deep and heavy, but we're not really trying to gain psychic self-defense because it sounds heavy, but it's not something that we really want. You understand? So the next step to that is learning that, and this is going to sound trivial, but it's reality, is when you go into any part of your house, somewhere in your house you have a mirror. You understand? You have to concentrate on looking at self for a certain amount of time. Most people, when they look in the mirror, they don't look in the mirror for no longer than 30 seconds or 40 seconds. That means that because when you're looking in the mirror, you're looking inside of yourself. You're seeing a reflection, but you're seeing what is the physical brain of the pineal gland. Because you have one brain, and then you have the next brain, which is what we see, which is what we call the optical illusion, which is the physical body. So the next level that you have to do when you're going in any part of the room, even if the next level of it, to be honest, going into the mirrors, you have to have what we call a certain amount of mirrors around you, 4 or 5 different mirrors, that your reflection is now looking back within you. Because the thing is that you have to do these things to do what? The first step is to get rid of the implantation of fear. We're afraid to look at ourselves. The next level is to just, once the fear is gone, is to now concentrate on the inner self. This isn't space. This is reality, is that we have to focus on the inside. You understand? So that is extremely necessary. Also, one of the final levels of it, and this is the most simple is the electric foods that we are processing within our bodies is also part of the implantation of a lot of our dreams and a lot of what we deal with on an everyday world within the root chakra world, the physical world. When we are not dealing with the electric foods, we talk about Dr. Sebi, Dr. Africa, these gods were necessary, these elders are necessary to get us back to resonating properly on an electric level. We are electric people. We deal with sound. We are sound people. Energy is sound. And if you are taking in toxins that is going adverse to what your sound is resonating on, then you, my friend, are creating a whole different frequency that you're resonating on that is destroying your psychic self-defense and even destroying just you, the inner you. So the diet itself is necessary. You must, in order for you to truly clear yourself, you must clear yourself of all toxins. And so you have to ingest and digest a lot of water, what we call the alkaline, and an alkaline diet that will allow your body to be clear, and so the toxins will be gone and you can be completely clear in order to receive the frequency that you need to be on right now. So all these things are necessary. You understand? So we can do this. We can do even further once he's out, and then we can truly take our, place as the mask of God, and we can control our dreams, but you can at least work on the practices while you're within self. So hopefully that answered, questions, but it also was a lecture for tonight as well. So, but still, I'm still taking questions. So I'm going to look and see if there are any more questions too. Oh, the brother Naeem Sharif asked a question. Hatep Zamal would like to ask you a question. The Master Teacher teaches us that the gods of Iraq was the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki are the gods of the East Indians. I understand that, but still Pops taught us that the original Sumerians was of Pa-Nagaru, Salau, who lived in the land of Iraq. Or am I misunderstanding what Baba was teaching? And to answer the question, and this is, just to give, because I'm still reading it, so I'm looking at it, but the thing is that the Anutu that came down, they came down to a certain, area of Iraq or Sumer. What you see on the walls are African people. You got to understand, Kushites, or the Nagaru that we call ourselves, they occupied parts of all of Africa and in parts of Sumer. So what you see on the wall is something that Africans have done for years, which is identify themselves through record on the walls. That's still real. But when you deal with the Anutu, who was connected to the East Indian, of course, that took place. But what you see on the wall is what Africans did regardless. The Anutu is connected to the East Indian, who was also connected to the Phoenicians, and who was connected to India as well, known as of course, East Indians. So, yes, what you see on the wall are non-ether beings. Nagaru, Kushite, Ethiopian, however you want to say it, Sudanese, black people, dark matter people. Because remember, everywhere we went on the planet, we left our mark and we left our historical account. It didn't matter if we was in Africa, China, Mexico, Australia, regardless, America. We left a marking of ourselves. But the thing is that you had other beings who came after us, because we were already in that part of Iraq millions of years ago. But then you have the Anutu or Anunnaki who came after the fact, and they were recorded to have came down 49,000 years ago. And so that is still, the thing is, people are looking for the marrying up process. It does marry up. The thing is that one came before the other. Non-ether beings were already here. But if you read, it's an actual fact that was known as Inca's creator that gives a date for when they did come down, which is 49,000 years ago. That was their story. but Africans had already occupied that land. It's just that where they procreated was in Africa first, and we went and continued to migrate outside of Africa. But yes, that still holds true. The Anutu or Anunnaki, who was the ancient relatives of the East Indians and the Phoenicians, they did come down to Iraq and to parts of Sumer, and they copulated in those areas, and they mined for gold in those areas. And for those who want further and further research, you can read the Enuma Elish or the Lost Books of Enki as well. So hopefully that answered the brother Naeem Sharif's question. So I'm going to take it off mute, and at 8 o'clock we're going to shut it down. So if you want to have any other questions, I'm going to take it off mute at this point as well. One second, I'm going to get there. All right. Sorry about this, y'all. All right. All right. So does anyone have any questions or statements they want to say as well before we shut it down?
I'm all right with the questions. Maybe somebody else might have a question.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I missed unfortunately, I missed a bit of it, but what I did catch corresponded with a lot of the things that I read in Sacred Wisdom of Zhahuti and in Science of Healing. I wanted to know, do you have any other further information you can give us as far as different exercises that we can do right now, meditative exercises we can do right now to further that psychic defense? Now, you touched on it, but I wonder if we can go further into it.
Okay. So far, what I did give was most of what I have. If you can be very fortunate to find the 9 principles. That was a Guidance for Master series. If you could find that one, that definitely gives you even further into psychic self-defense as well. That also gives very, very important exercises, especially meditation exercises, because it gives you visualizations as well. Because the whole point of the deities, as he was saying, is that these were who you were, and the powers that they had was what you once had. And so then now the next step is concentrating on mental transmutation to get back to that same level of non-ether, of black magic. So reading the book 9 Principles in the Human Being, that's a great one because it does give you some exercises and points of concentration too. But those are the main ones, especially Science of Healing, the magic word of Ra, because it all came down to, when you deal with frequency, the word of Ra was based on frequency. If you go back to that story, it was based on not so much a word, but a frequency that resonated with not just the person who said it, but throughout the world. So that was also very key, because reading that, it gave you, what did you understand from this? And if you didn't understand it, you have to read it again for you to really get the full spectrum of what he was saying, the full understanding. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Sure.
Nayat by you. No problem. All right. One last question before we shut it down. One more. Does anyone have any like a business, anything that they wanted to advertise as well? Nothing at this time. No problem at this time. Okay, there's no problem. I try to give also people a chance at the end of class to try to, plug in whatever they want. That's why I try to make sure that most of the class is concentration. People can hear and it's clear, and then once it's done, then they can, plug in or say whatever they want to say as well. So shutting it down. Also, just the last thing, if you can find the breath book, if you can find the breath book, I remember when that book came out, he said that was going to be one of the most important books for psychic self-defense you can ever have, because the process of breathing, he was transforming us. Even in the book, he was transforming us again in that book. So a lot of books that we had that we thought were trivial, we ain't got them no more. Now it's like, oh, man, I need it. But that one right there, if you could find that, ask around, call around, see if you can get that breath scroll. That's also important, too, for exercises and things that we can practice, too, for psychic self-defense. All right.
Thanks.
So I thought one. So just wanted to have this class, and I want to say Tower hat for everyone who got on. And I'll say Ahotep Wa Ashuk, peace and love, and Wadu.
Wadu.
Without